Subscribe before the truth disappears, because this one, will haunt you long after it ends. It was 11:43 p.m. on a rain-slicked Thursday in Maple Hollow, a quiet Oregon town that usually slept early. The streetlights flickered against the fog, and only the hum of distant traffic filled the air. Then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks at the front door of 27-year-old Olivia Grant's small blue house on Linden Street. Her neighbor, Ryan Keller, remembered it vividly later. He'd been up late grading papers when he heard Olivia's voice through the rain. A soft, uncertain call. "Hello? Who's there?" There was a pause. Then a man's voice, calm but strange. "Your sister sent me." Ryan said he thought nothing of it until the next morning when Olivia's car was still in the driveway, the porch light still on, and her door slightly ajar. When police entered the house, the kettle was still warm. Her phone lay on the counter, unlocked. And near the door, 3 faint, wet footprints. Bare feet. Not hers. Detective Laura Hendricks of the Maple Hollow PD took one look and muttered, "This wasn't a break-in. She let someone in." By noon, the small town was buzzing. Olivia Grant was gone, without a trace. Her sister Emily arrived from Portland, pale and trembling. She didn't have enemies, she insisted. She just worked, came home, read her books. Who would even... But Hendricks noticed something Emily didn't. Olivia's laptop was missing. Only that. The investigation began with the knock. The doorbell camera had caught only a silhouette, a tall figure in a hooded jacket, hands buried deep in pockets. But there was something else. A reflection in the glass, an SUV idling by the curb with its headlights off. The license plate was unreadable, and yet Hendricks froze the footage again and again, her pen tapping the desk. A faint white sticker on the windshield. A parking permit from Riverside College, Olivia's old university, 40 miles away. The first 48 hours were chaos. Volunteers combed the nearby woods. Canines tracked her scent to the edge of a trail near the riverbank. Then, nothing. No blood, no sign of struggle, just a torn piece of her jacket snagged on a branch. It was as if she'd stepped into the mist and dissolved. But late that night, Officer Neil Pearson found something that turned the case from a missing person report into a nightmare. A red duffel bag buried beneath leaves near the trailhead. Inside, women's clothes, a camera memory card, and a folded note that read, "She shouldn't have answered." The handwriting was clean, controlled, and the bag registered to a man named Gavin Reese, a former classmate of Olivia's. Reese had been expelled from Riverside College 5 years earlier after an alleged stalking incident involving a female student, never charged but whispered about. He now worked as a freelance videographer, living 2 towns over. When police brought him in, he seemed calm. Too calm. "I haven't seen Olivia in years. We did a few projects in college. That's it. Why would I have her clothes?" Hendricks stared across the table. "Because you were in Maple Hollow last night." Reese smirked. "Check my GPS. I was at home. You'll see." And he wasn't lying. His phone placed him 30 miles away at the time of her disappearance. So how did his duffel bag end up buried in the woods? Back at the precinct, Hendricks spread the evidence across the board. Photos, maps, timelines, all leading nowhere. But one thing nagged at her. Olivia's missing laptop. 2 days later, tech forensics traced its last ping to an abandoned rest stop off Highway 14. When officers searched the area, they found a burnt-out trash can beside a graffiti-covered wall and a partially melted flash drive hidden in the ashes. They recovered fragments of files. One contained a series of still images, screenshots of a video call. The first showed Olivia smiling. The second, Her expression changed, startled, as if hearing something off camera. And the third, a blurred figure behind her shoulder. That same night, Hendricks and Kirsten visited Emily again. She handed them a small box she'd found while packing Olivia's things. Inside were printed photos, Olivia with a group of students at Riverside College. One photo made Hendricks freeze. There, standing right next to Olivia, was Gavin Reese, but behind them, half hidden, was another face. A woman, dark hair, cold expression, hand on Olivia's shoulder. "Who's that?" Hendricks asked. Emily frowned. That's her roommate, I think? Lila Weston. Why? Hendricks' pen stopped midair because she remembered that name. Lila Weston had gone missing from Riverside College in 2018, the same year Reese was expelled. Her case was never solved. The next morning, Hendricks and Pearson returned to the evidence board. 2 missing women, same college, same circle of friends, and one man at the center who swore he was innocent. Then, Pearson pointed to something on the recovered screenshot. The reflection in Olivia's laptop screen. Barely visible, but there. Not Gavin. A woman's outline. Shoulder-length hair, holding a phone. The revelation hit Hendricks like a punch. The voice that said, "Your sister sent me," what if it wasn't a man at all? That night, as officers rechecked phone records, one detail emerged that made Hendricks' blood run cold. A call to Olivia at 11:39 p.m., just 4 minutes before she disappeared. The caller ID? A number registered to Emily Grant, but Emily swore she hadn't called. Her phone log backed her up. No outgoing call. Someone had cloned her number. When Hendricks pulled traffic camera footage from the night of the disappearance, she found it. A white SUV turning onto Linden Street minutes before the knock. The driver was a woman, face obscured. But as the SUV passed under a streetlight, the plate came into view for a single frame. It matched a vehicle registered to Lila Weston, the same Lila who had supposedly vanished 7 years ago. Hendricks leaned over the screen, whispering, "She's not missing, she's hunting." And that's when Pearson's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. 3 words. "You're next." The text message glowed against the darkness of Detective Hendricks' phone screen. "You're next, detective." For a brief second, the room seemed to shrink around her. The low hum of fluorescent lights, the muted chatter from the hallway, the smell of burnt coffee. Then she straightened, jaw tight. "Trace it," she ordered. Officer Pearson leaned over his monitor, already on it. But a minute later, he shook his head. Signal bounced through 3 VPNs. Whoever sent it knows what they're doing. By dawn, the case had turned from an investigation into something personal. The board in the incident room now held 2 faces side by side, Olivia Grant and Lila Weston, with a web of red string connecting them through Gavin Reese, Riverside College, and the burned flash drive. But there was something about that third, blurred reflection in the video call stills that wouldn't leave Hendricks alone. It wasn't just the outline, it was the way the figure was standing. Familiar posture, slight tilt of the head. Watching, not startled. It didn't feel random, it felt rehearsed. At 9 a.m., Hendricks drove out to Reese's rental unit. The neighborhood was quiet, lined with faded trailers and chain-link fences. His SUV sat in the driveway, a black Honda, spotless. He opened the door before she knocked, like he'd been expecting her. "Detective Hendricks," he said, smirking faintly, "I figured you'd be back." "I need to ask you about Lila Weston," she said. Reese's face hardened, but he didn't look surprised. "Lila's gone, has been for years. She had your duffel bag, your handwriting, your sticker on the SUV, and now we've got someone using Olivia's sister's number to lure her outside. If that wasn't you, then who?" Reese leaned back against the doorframe, eyes cold. "You think I'm behind all this, but you've got it backwards, detective.
Lila's alive. Hendrix's pulse spiked. Alive? He nodded slowly. She was obsessed with Olivia. She said, Olivia took something from her. I never understood what that meant. But if she's back, he exhaled, you need to find her before she finds you. That night, Hendrix went through Lila Weston's old case file, the missing persons report from 2018. Lila had been a psychology major, brilliant but erratic. 2 disciplinary warnings for harassment, a formal complaint filed by Olivia herself citing threatening behavior and unwanted surveillance. The file included a photo, Olivia and Lila smiling together on move-in day. In the photo, Olivia's hand rested on Lila's shoulder. In the background, a mirror reflected the room, and Lila's eyes weren't on the camera. They were on the reflection. By midnight, Hendrix was back at her desk replaying the recovered screenshots from Olivia's laptop. Frame 1, Olivia smiling. Frame 2, Olivia startled. Frame 3, the reflection. Female, mid-20s, hair falling to the left shoulder. And there, in the upper corner of the reflection, a shape that hadn't been noticed before, a framed diploma. Hendrix zoomed in. Riverside College, Psychology Department. Signed Dr. Eleanor Jameson. Morning brought a lead. Dr. Jameson, now retired, still lived near the university. Hendrix and Pearson drove out to meet her, an aging Victorian house perched on a hill, curtains drawn tight. Dr. Jameson, frail but sharp-eyed, opened the door. Lila Weston? Yes, I remember her, she said, her voice soft but uneasy. Brilliant student, deeply troubled. She had fixation issues, especially after Olivia filed the complaint. Fixation? Hendrix asked. She mimicked people, their voices, their mannerisms. She studied how they spoke, how they smiled. She called it mirror work. Claimed she could become anyone if she observed them long enough. Hendrix felt a chill creep up her spine. And after she disappeared? Jameson sighed. Lila withdrew all her scholarship funds 3 days before vanishing. Someone used her ID to buy wigs, voice modulators, and burner phones, but she was never found. On the drive back, Pearson stared out the window. So you're saying Lila could imitate Olivia's sister's voice, maybe even her face? If she's been planning this, she could be using that same technique to hide anywhere, Hendrix said. Then why target Olivia now after all these years? Pearson frowned. Because Olivia filed the complaint that ruined her life, Hendrix replied, and maybe she's finishing what she started. That afternoon, Hendrix got a call from the tech lab. They'd restored a partial video from the flash drive, the one Olivia had tried to hide before she disappeared. The video opened with Olivia sitting in her living room, phone propped up. She looked anxious. If anyone finds this, it's her. She's not dead. She's been watching me for weeks. Then a sound. 3 knocks on the door. Olivia froze. Her eyes darted to the window. Then she whispered, "She's wearing my sister's jacket." The camera jolted, and the video cut to static. The footage ended there. Hendrix leaned back, heart pounding. She knew, she whispered. She knew who it was. At 10:15 that night, Hendrix got another text. A photo. Her own car, parked outside her home. Taken from across the street. Then another text followed. "You see me now?" She called Pearson immediately. "Lock my address down. Someone's here." Within minutes, 2 patrol units were at her street. They searched every alley, every backyard. Nothing. But when Hendrix stepped onto her porch, something glimmered under the doormat, a flash drive, identical to the one from Olivia's case. Inside the precinct, she played it. This time, it wasn't Olivia. It was footage from Hendrix's own house. From inside. The hallway, her kitchen, her bedroom. All filmed from hidden angles. At the end of the clip, a voice whispered near the camera, "Don't worry, detective. I only mirror what I admire." Then laughter. Low, quiet, female. Her hands shook. She's been inside. Pearson exhaled. We're dealing with a full-blown stalker, calculated, obsessive, possibly living under an alias. They ran facial recognition against DMV and security databases using Lila's old photos. One match pinged. A woman named Nora Ellis, recently employed at a private security firm in Portland. The photo showed her hair shorter, darker, but the eyes were the same. They raided Nora Ellis's listed address the next morning. The apartment was empty, meticulously clean, no fingerprints. But on the bathroom mirror, written in red lipstick, "You only see me when I want you to." And taped beneath the mirror, a small photograph. Olivia Grant, bound and blindfolded, sitting in the back of an SUV. Time-stamped 3 days ago. For the first time, Hendricks said nothing. The room spun with dread, realization, and fury. Lila Weston, alive, methodical, and steps ahead, wasn't just watching anymore. She was in control. And somewhere out there, Olivia was still alive. But not for long.
The photograph of Olivia was still on the table when dawn broke over Maple Hollow, a single image that turned every officer's exhaustion into urgency. Detective Laura Hendricks stared at it until her eyes burned. The timestamp read 72 hours ago. That meant Olivia might still be alive, but the clock was running out. Beside her, Officer Neil Pearson shuffled through the evidence logs. "We've checked the SUV registrations. No hits on the plate. Lila must have swapped it." Hendricks nodded, voice low. "She's staging this like theater. Rehearsed, choreographed. She wants us to watch her." Pearson looked up. "Then let's give her what she wants." They reopened every file from the Riverside case. Lila's thesis research had centered on mirror identity formation, psychological conditioning through imitation. Her notes describe the process in chilling detail. To control the reflection, you must first erase yourself. It wasn't just obsession, it was transformation. Hendricks realized something horrifying. If Lila had been practicing this for years, she could be anyone. A neighbor, a waitress, even one of the volunteers who'd searched for Olivia that week. And then Hendricks remembered the small things. The woman at the coffee shop who'd known her order, the same model of phone seen outside her home, the text that mimicked her tone. Lila wasn't hiding. She was becoming them. The break came mid-morning when dispatch flagged a report from a fisherman 20 miles north, an abandoned SUV by the Columbia River. The make and model matched Lila's. When Hendricks and Pearson arrived, the scene was ghostly. Fog rolled over the water, and gulls shrieked overhead. The SUV sat half submerged near the embankment. Driver's door open, interior drenched. In the back seat, they found ropes, duct tape, and a folded blanket. No Olivia, but on the dashboard, taped neatly, was another note. "Closer." The forensic team swept the area. Pearson paced near the shoreline, then noticed something. Boot prints leading away from the car into the forest. 2 sets, one lighter, smaller. Olivia's, the other heavier. They followed the tracks through twisted trees, mud sucking at their shoes, until they reached an old ranger cabin that had long since been abandoned. The door creaked open under Hendricks' hand. Inside, silence, dust, the faint smell of bleach. And on the far wall, photographs, dozens of them. Olivia in her home, Olivia at the grocery store, Olivia sitting in her car unaware she was being watched. Next to them, pinned like trophies, photos of Hendricks herself, standing by her cruiser, talking to Pearson, sitting at her desk. Pearson whispered, "She's been tracking both of you." Then Hendricks saw something that made her stomach twist. A printed still from the precinct's own security footage. It was her, in the evidence room, and behind her, in the blurry reflection of the glass cabinet, a woman with short dark hair standing just out of frame. Suddenly a sound. The floorboards creaked above. Hendricks drew her weapon. Upstairs. They moved in silence, breath shallow. At the top of the stairs was a single closed door. Hendricks turned the knob. Inside, a small room lit by a single lamp. A mirror leaned against the wall facing a chair. And in that chair, Olivia Grant. She was alive,
wrists bound, tape over her mouth, eyes wide with terror. Hendricks rushed forward, cutting her free. "You're safe now." But Olivia's head shook violently. Her muffled voice trembled through the tape. Hendricks pulled it away. Olivia gasped out one word: "Behind!" The mirror exploded. Glass rained across the room as Lila Weston burst from behind it, dressed in black, eyes wild. She swung a metal rod toward her face. Hendricks ducked, countered, the rod striking the wall and shattering a lamp. The room plunged into flickering shadows. Lila screamed, "She took my life! My research! My name!" They grappled, boots scraping broken glass. Hendricks caught her wrist, twisted, but Lila was fast, feral. Pearson rushed in, tackling her to the floor. She fought with terrifying strength, clawing at his face, hissing, "You don't get it! I was perfect! I was her!" Then a gunshot split the air. Silence. Lila froze, breath catching. Hendricks' gun trembled in her hands. Pearson's chest rose and fell. Lila wasn't dead, just stunned, a flesh wound. They cuffed her as backup arrived. Hours later, the cabin was swarming with officers. Olivia sat in a blanket, trembling, sipping water. She said, "She ruined me. She used my voice to talk to me. I thought I was losing my mind." Hendricks knelt beside her. "You're safe now." But deep down, something felt unfinished. At the hospital, as Lila Weston was being processed, she asked to speak to Hendricks. Through the observation glass, Hendricks watched her sitting there, calm again, composed. When she entered, Lila smiled faintly. "You ever wonder why mirrors fascinate people, Detective? They show us everything except what's behind the glass." Hendricks didn't answer. Lila leaned forward, voice almost tender. "You'll understand soon, because when you stare too long, the reflection starts staring back." Hendricks turned and walked out. But as she did, she caught her own reflection in the two-way mirror, just for a second, and froze. The reflection smiled back. She hadn't. 2 days later, Hendricks returned home. She poured herself a drink, stared at the stillness of her living room. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then the message came through. A photo of her sitting in that same chair, taken moments ago. The caption read, "Did you miss me?" The next morning, Lila Weston was found dead in her holding cell, apparent suicide. Security footage showed no one entering or leaving, but the final frame of the tape, time-stamped 3:02 a.m., captured something chilling. Lila sitting upright, staring at the camera. Then for one frame, a reflection behind her on the glass, a woman standing in the cell, half-shadowed, smiling. The case file officially closed that week. Cause of death, self-inflicted. Secondary investigation, none. But Detective Hendricks never slept in the dark again, because every time she passed a mirror, she swore she saw someone else looking back, someone who tilted her head just a little differently. And one night, unable to stand it anymore, she covered every mirror in her house, every single one, except the small one in the hallway. When she turned it over the next morning, there was writing etched across the glass. "You can't erase a reflection." They say Olivia Grant left Maple Hollow after the trial, changed her name, vanished into a new life. But Hendricks stayed. And sometimes, in the quiet hours before dawn, her phone still lights up with that same number, the one that started it all. 3 words. "Still watching, Detective." If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Subscribe before the next knock comes to your door.